since the primary and your success in the spring, what have you done, do you feel, that to better prepare for this job, to get a better understanding of county operations, to better understand the charter, those types of things?
Well, to start on a happy side, I've got a year older, so you know, maybe a year's worth of experience or age has helped me. But since the primary, I spent a lot of time speaking not only with the other candidates that were nominated, both Democrat, Republican, and once the independents filed some of those. I've also spoke with people who work in the courthouse and have tried to get a better understanding, albeit limited, for what they can tell me, of what's going on and what the new county council is facing. Also, during the course of this time, I've attended almost all of the transition meetings since the primary, in some cases more than some of the people that are sitting. And I've also gone to budget hearings to see. So I've tried to prepare myself as much as possible for what may happen in November.
Okay. On the subject of that transition committee and its work, do you have a sense of whether it's on pace? I mean, it's got a lot of responsibilities and duties. Do you feel it's on pace so that there is a smooth transition?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns about where it is?
I think the men and women that were named, not elected, to that committee have done a real good job trying to follow the transition pattern that was set up in the charter. Don't agree with everything they're doing, but I think their hearts are in the right place and they're doing it for the right reasons. And you know, I congratulate them and commend them for what they're doing.
Are there one or 2 points you could mention to us now of where you feel differently than it seems the transition committee's headed?
Well, one of the big points that I disagreed with, although it changed, was the way they were going to advertise for a county manager. Didn't feel all of the things they wanted to do would lend us receiving the best, most qualified people for the job. They since, with discussion and listening to some comments in the audience, changed the advertisement. So I was pleased with that. You know, I'd like to know a little bit more about the way they're advertising within the courthouse for possibly getting interim people in January when the new government takes place. You know, some of those issues are my concerns. But as I said, you know, their hearts are in the right place, and I really commend them for the hard work they're doing.
If elected and you're serving on this council, about how much time do you think you would dedicate to the post?
Well, you know, that's hard to answer. All I know is I promise to spend as much time as I have to. I have the time. I'm getting in this because I want to see this government work, and you know, if it's 1 hour a week, that's fine. If it's 20 hours a week, that's fine. I'll make myself available to do everything necessary to make this be successful, and I have a track record of that. You know, over the years, all the agencies, the commissions, the authorities that I sat on, you know, I've always made myself available for any and all meetings. You know, in some cases, I remember when I was on the Luzerne County's Drug and Alcohol Commission. You know, there were sometimes 3 meetings a month, and you know, I attended every one because with that commission they had a lot of subcommittee meetings, and so you know, I will make myself available for all the hours plus that I have to be to do a good job and see this be successful.
And again, if you're on that council, do you think it's appropriate that you have a daily or a weekly presence in the courthouse, or would you have some other means of being accessible both to the public and to the people who work for the county?
You know, I think all of the elected officials have to find a balance on what they'd like to do in the courthouse. I mean, you know, you have to be there to know what's going on. But on the other hand, you don't want to be seen as a micromanager, especially with a manager that's really going to be responsible for the daily operations of the county. So it's you know, difficult right now to say just how long we have to be there, but certainly, I think to be an effective leader, you have to know what's going on, and you have to be able to speak not only with the people that work in the county, but also learn to work with them and listen to what they're saying.
If you are on that council, would you vote to approve the hiring of a relative to a county authority, board, or commission?
No. I can say that because I don't have a relative in this area that's looking for a job or wants a job. As a matter of fact, most of my family are saying you have to be nuts to be doing what you're doing. So no, that's not a problem with me, but I have to qualify that with the fact that just because a person is related to someone shouldn't necessarily prohibit that person from being hired if that person is really the best person for the job. I mean, it kind of works both ways. Everybody thinks that, well, every relative that's hired has no ability and they're only a political hack or whatever. But if the person really has has the most ability to do the job, again, that person should not be prohibited.
Okay.
And that's just a personal opinion.
Do you have a particular skill or expertise that you feel that you would bring to this council, be it with negotiations or a legal background or numbers and budgeting? What do you think you would add to this group?
Well, I've always been a decision maker, and I think that's important. Council is going to have to make decisions, and I've always based my decisions on listening to what people say, reviewing the facts, working with others, and coming up with what's best for that particular body or that particular decision. So I think that's a strong quality that I have. As far as legal background, no, I don't have any legal background other than common sense, which is very, a good aspect of what a person has. Just like many of the people running for county council, I think the way the charter was set up, it wanted regular people that have common sense, with their hearts in the right place to make the decisions for the county. And I think I fit into that characterization.
One of the most difficult tasks initially for this group is probably going to be to come up with some sort of workable budget. And I'm wondering if you have specific ideas for areas in the county that you think we can find some savings. On the flip side of that, are the areas where you think the county's missing out on potential revenue?
I got answers to both of that. I was fortunate enough to receive a copy of the proposed county budget from Controller Griffith, and I've been looking at that for the past couple of weeks. And I'm not an accountant, I'm not an auditor, and so it's kind of difficult for me to look at those things. But I am going through them, and I sat through the budget meeting, trying to figure out and see what's going on. I listened to department chairmen come in and express their needs and what they feel is necessary. And I can see that it's very hard eliminating things or not making provisions to worry about what will happen next year. I remember at one of the department heads in the proposed budget had an increase for gasoline, knowing that the gallon of gasoline is going up every year. And the commissioner sat there and said, no, just put down what you used last year. And those kind of decisions are hard. The manager was requesting something that is necessary, but on the other hand, the commissioners with the deficit are trying to say, well, let's try to do without that. So it is a difficult process. One thing I know is that our county spends a lot of money on legal fees, especially arbitrations, and unfortunately these things have to go to arbitration, and arbitration costs money. I'd like to look for ways that maybe we could not get into that particular area and save the county money. If you look at the budget, it amounts to tens of thousands of dollars every year. That might be a way to cut budget. But again, we have to look in these things, and it has to be agreed on. As far as revenues are concerned, I look at the arena, and for years, the arena has used the hotel tax to help fund it. It's a tax that doesn't affect, the most needy citizens of Luzerne County. It doesn't affect the hotel industry. Their occupancy rate, as I've been reading in the papers, as reported by your paper, if I'm not mistaken, has been up there. And so, we have to take a hard look at maybe some other ways of funding that don't affect the most needy people in the county, ways that may possibly lessen the burden of property taxes on some of our seniors and the working people. Those are just, two examples. One way, for reducing, another way for probably bringing in some revenues. Again, it's just an idea. There are going to be 11 or 10 other people on council that will sit down and work together to try to come up with ideas and then try to get them with the manager. So let's see.
What do you feel is the county's responsibility in funding some of those outside organizations, things like public libraries?
I've been an educator all my life. And although people keep on telling me libraries are going to be non-existent in the future, just as papers are going to be non-existent, I don't believe that. We have to find a way to keep those things in operation. Maybe not in the same way that we're doing now, but certainly those are valuable things to the community, and I think our community would be lessened if libraries disappeared. And so I'm not adverse to continuing funding things like that in some form or manner.
I wanted to talk to you about the county workforce also. Do you have specific ideas on what might be appropriate fringe benefit packages for county employees, number of sick days, number of vacation days?
I'm really not qualified to answer that question because I haven't had access to all of the contracts. But I have a feeling that the way today's economy is, that both parties, the employers and the employees, are willing to now sit down and negotiate and come up with ways to solve problems that they may not have thought about in the past.
In the great scheme of things, should vacation days should be able to carry over unused vacation days, or should be paid out for vacation days? I mean, should it be a payout at the end of the year? Not in relation to the contract, but just from a general point of view.
Well, I think it's something that has to be looked at. I think there should be a limit. I mean, I don't think it's proper for a person working 40 years, after 40 years, to say, I have 675 vacation days that I have to be paid for, sick days that have to be paid for. But I think people who work hard and do a good job deserve certain benefits, and that's a benefit that has to be looked at, and I think can be deserved. But again, I think there should be limits placed on it. It can't be unlimited. And I think that's the same way in other occupations. There's limits. I mean, a lot of people get those same benefits, but there's limits on how much they can carry and what they're worth or the value of them.
If elected, would you bring, excuse me, a certain issue in front of the council for consideration? I mean, some people say they're passionate about rolling back or eliminating property taxes. Other people want to talk about natural gas issues. Is there something that's a priority to you, or do you think it's up to the county manager to decide what the issues are and the council will consider those issues?
I've always been a person that believes in service, and I think the citizens of the county expect certain services, and all they want of those services is to be run efficiently and effectively, whether it's human resources, for example, when I was on the Drug and Alcohol Commission, those things are necessary. So my passion has always been in that area, and I would hope that in the future that the requirements and the needs of those public service agencies like children and youth and drug and alcohol and women's resources are able to be maintained. That's very important to me. I have a passion for that. And as I said, if they're run efficiently and the citizenry of Luzerne County feel they're getting their money's worth for what they're paying for those services, I don't think there will be a problem with them.
Now, the council members, all 11, are going to have the same voting power, but the chairperson, man or woman, excuse me, will be sitting on particular boards, probably the airport, for instance. Would you be interested in serving as the chair of the council if elected to it? And if not, would there be certain characteristics that you'd be looking for in a chairperson?
Yes, I would be interested. On other boards or commissions that I served in, after a time, I was always, because of the work that I did, and hopefully because the other members thought it was good work, that I've been named chairman. As a matter of fact, I'm chairman of the Luzerne County Transportation Authority right now. Years ago, when I was on the Drug and Alcohol Commission, I ended up being chairman of that. So yes, I would like to be a chairman. I've always viewed myself as a leader, but a leader who listens to what people say, and if that was to happen, I would accept it. But if I was elected and not named chairman, I would still do the work that's necessary to make sure our new county government is successful. So it's not a priority, but it's something that I wouldn't turn down.
There's always a media interest in Luzerne County government, not only the Times Leader, but the other outlets. If you're part of this council, what do you think the appropriate way to get the message and to interact with the media would be? To have a spokesperson on behalf of the council, or each council member be contacted individually?
Well, I think it has to be a little bit of both. I mean, according to the charter, there's going to be a clerk named to the county council, and obviously things are going to go through that clerk. But as a county council member, I want to make sure that the people of Luzerne County have accessibility to me. And so, I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to talk to people. I want to talk to people. I want to listen to what they have to say, and hopefully use that information to make county government better and make Luzerne County a better place. So it should be a little bit of both.
Questions from the group at this point?
How much do you expect to spend on this general campaign?
That's tough, because you go to events and people that are having rallies, and it's 20 here and it's 50 there, and it's it's just.
How much are you spending on your campaign to finance your campaign?
I probably, by the end of this campaign, I'm thinking it's probably going to be between $750 and $1,000 between things that I'm doing, cards and the big thing though is a lot of the events are fundraisers, and you want to get access to those people, so you walk in and you pay your $25 or your $15, and that amounts up.
Are you taking donations?
No. Any donation that I receive will go to the, I'm a member of the Working Families team, and it goes, and we have a political organization, and it goes to that.
So the donations are going to the party?
Yes.
And is the party supporting your campaign?
The Democratic Party, yes.
Do you know how much?
We've met with the County Democratic Committee. I've met with the County Democratic Committee, and they are backing a Democratic slate 100%. We have slate cards out with all 11 Democratic candidates on it. There's Democratic County Council candidates on it, I should say, and they have slate cards for the 6 Democratic judges and the district attorney. So we have the full backing and support of the County Democratic Committee.
Financially, is the party supporting your campaign? Are you getting money from the party?
Not getting money individually. Okay.
Do you feel you have a base of support? In the spring, was it geography that made the difference? Was it your associations, former school teachers? Who turned out?
I think it was a little bit of both. I really felt that geography was going to play a very important part in the primary election. People tend to vote for people they know, and where you live is where most people know you. So I had a great amount of support in the greater Pittston area on both sides of the river, and I appreciate it. I also feel that because of my athletics and because of name, that that might have helped in some of the other areas of the county. I was a football coach and for almost 25 years, and in the early 70s I coached swimming, and I made a lot of contacts, and a lot of my students are out there, and so that helped. As a matter of fact, I'm proud to say that a number of my students are candidates for judge and district attorney, so that's that helped.
In terms of the group that you mentioned, there were 11 running. There was a slate of 11 in the primary. That's down to 4 now?
Yes, 4 were moved on in the primary.
Has that changed the dynamic, or are you still working with each other? And
Yes.
When you say working with each other, what kind of support do you offer to each other?
Well, during the primary, the 4 of us that made it through the primary, during that season, we got to know one another very well. We know how each other thinks. I mean, we have different opinions on things, but we have a common ground. The other 7 candidates that didn't make it through, they're still supportive of us. Many of them have come to some of our discussions and are still trying to help us and continue trying to help us and want to see us do well.
And you say the working families, the members of it have a common ground. I think there's a misperception out there among some people about it. Could you help put that in perspective? What is that group? What is the common ground?
The common ground is that our focus is going to be on the people of Luzerne County that work. I mean, not just one particular group or another particular group, but all of the people of Luzerne County. That's why we called ourselves working families. We could have called ourselves this or that, but because our focus is on trying to do what's best for the working families of Luzerne County, that's what we intend to do if we're lucky enough to gain the trust of the voters and become elected. That's what I want to do if I'm lucky enough to gain the trust and become elected. Families and workers have always been the foundation of what has made this county. And for too long, they haven't had advocates. And we want to be their advocates. And that includes seniors who've worked all their lives and paid the bills. That includes young adults that are working and paying the bills, and our youth that hopefully will stay in this area and raise families and pay the bills. So that's our focus. It's not one particular group. Working families. And everybody sitting in this room right now is a member of a working family.
So the issues that are particularly important to you as a member of that group, is it property taxes, or does it go beyond that? What is it and what isn't it, I guess is the question, because there is...
Again, making sure that the services they pay for through their property taxes are the services they want, they need, and those services should be effective to their needs, and they should be efficient to their needs. Now, if we can maintain those services by decreasing property taxes or finding other ways to fund those services, that's going to be a benefit to the working families of Luzerne County, especially our seniors who are on fixed incomes. We're going to try to do those things. And I think all 11 elected members of Congress, not Congress, I'm sorry, of council, feel the same way. And in speaking to them this summer, I know, everybody, whether they're Democrat, whether they're Republican, or whether they're an independent, if they're elected, they're going to work to try to ease those burdens and give the people of the community the best value they can for what they're paying.
I think we've received a letter to the editor that has not been published yet, but it's critical of this group. And the writer is concerned that this group is too sympathetic to the county employees and to the unions. How do you respond to that, and where is that criticism coming from?
To me, it's a tainted criticism. I suspect the person has had issues with unions in the past, or issues with union people in the past, and they're using that as a soundboard to voice their criticisms I've seen a letter in the paper, I've seen letters in the paper criticizing myself, criticizing other members, criticizing the group in the primary. The people that wrote those letters never came up to me and asked me what I was going to do or how I felt. As a matter of fact, in the past week, at the League of Women Voters forum last week, there were people there that I know have been vocal critics of unions, and you know, I made myself available before the forum started and after the forum started, and they didn't come up to me and ask me what I felt. And so I think, I truly believe those criticisms are unwarranted. You know, I'm going to be one of 11 people. As one person on a board of 11, I'm not going to have the power to do what these people think I'm going to do. So they're unwarranted, they're unjustified, and you know, but people have a right to criticize, and let them do it.
Generally speaking, were you comfortable in the spring, and are you comfortable now with the tone of the campaigns? Was there anything that you thought was inappropriate on the part of other candidates at any point?
No. For the most part, the people I met, from the judges on both sides to the county council candidates on both sides, were really good people. And I commend them because they stepped forward to try to do something to make our county a better place. Even in listening to their positions, you know, very few, excuse me, if at all, does one of the candidates criticize another candidate. Mostly they're out there saying that if elected, this is what I'm going to try to do, this is what I hope to do. So I don't see it as a problem. Every now and then there might be a little, again, maybe a little shot at working families candidate or someone else, but you know, it's very rarely does it happen, and I don't see it as a problem.
Okay. Any other questions from the group? Are you satisfied with this endorsement interview? Did we ask the appropriate questions? Do you feel you had a chance to answer?
Sure. I welcome the chance to come here. If you have more questions, I'll sit here and I'll answer them as openly, as honestly as possible. And you know, they're all good questions.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you about that you came prepared with a great answer and we just never got around to that topic? Or is there anything that you want to emphasize?
Just that, you know, I'd like to tell the people of Luzerne County, the voters of Luzerne County, that I'm a hardworking person. I'm willing to do what's necessary, if elected, to make sure the job is done right and our county moves in the right direction. As I said earlier in the interview, I'm a decision maker. I will make a decision. I'm not afraid to make decisions. Even if some people aren't going to like the decision. If it's the right decision to make for our county, and after listening to the other members of the council, and listening to the county manager, and listening to the people who work or run the various departments in the courthouse, I'll take all that information and make the right decision. You know, and that's the way I always acted, and that's the way I continue to act. You know, I have no grand visions. You know, I'm not using this as a means to get any place else. If elected, I'm going to serve, do my best, and when the term is over, you know, right into the sunset. You know, so that's all I want to tell the people.